Imagine waking up tomorrow and discovering that humans aren't the only intelligent people on Earth. Not aliens, not robots, other humans, different species of humans, some stronger than us, some better adapted to extreme cold, some with brains that evolved along completely different paths. Now imagine having dinner with a Neanderthal, competing with another human species for jobs, territory, and resources. It sounds like science fiction. But for most of human history, this was reality. Just 40,000 years ago, Earth wasn't inhabited by one human species. It was inhabited by many. And today, every single one of them is gone. Except us. The question is, what happened to the others? And perhaps more importantly, why did we survive? Setup. When people think about human evolution, they often imagine a straight line. Monkey, caveman, modern human. Simple, but that's not what happened. Human evolution looked more like a giant bush with many branches. Over the last few million years, numerous human species appeared across Africa, Europe, and Asia. There was Homo erectus, one of the most successful human species ever. They survived for nearly 2 million years. There were Neanderthals, powerfully built hunters perfectly adapted to Ice Age Europe. There were Denisovans, a mysterious group known mostly from a few bones and fragments of DNA. There was Homo floresiensis, sometimes called the Hobbit, adults barely over 1 meter tall who lived on an isolated Indonesian island. And there were many others. For hundreds of thousands of years, these species existed simultaneously. The world wasn't ours alone. It was shared. Then, around 300,000 years ago, a new species emerged in Africa. Us, Homo sapiens. At first, we didn't seem particularly special. We weren't the strongest. Neanderthals were stronger. We weren't the toughest. Several species were better adapted to harsh environments. We weren't even the most widespread. So why are we the ones telling this story today? Climax, for a long time, scientists assumed we simply outcompeted everyone else, that Homo sapiens was smarter, more advanced, more capable. Case closed. But recent discoveries tell a far more complicated story. When modern humans spread out of Africa, they didn't immediately replace other human species. In fact, they met them. And something unexpected happened. They had children together. Today, most people outside Africa carry Neanderthal DNA. Some populations in Asia and Oceania also carry Denisovan DNA. That means these species weren't just rivals. They were family. The boundaries between human species were blurrier than we once believed. So if they mixed with us, why did they disappear? There isn't a single answer. Instead, there was a perfect storm. Climate change repeatedly transformed entire continents. Habitats vanished. Food sources shifted. Populations became isolated. Small groups are vulnerable. A disease can wipe them out. A bad hunting season can devastate them. A few harsh winters can push them toward extinction. Then Homo sapiens arrived, not necessarily stronger, but different. One advantage may have changed everything. Cooperation. Humans formed unusually large social networks. Information traveled farther. Ideas spread faster. Innovations didn't die with individuals. A better hunting technique developed in one region could eventually reach another. Knowledge became a survival tool. And unlike muscle, knowledge accumulates, generation after generation. Some researchers believe this collective intelligence gave Homo sapiens a crucial edge, not because any one person was smarter, but because groups could share, preserve, and improve ideas over time. As environments changed, humans adapted rapidly. Meanwhile, smaller populations of other species struggled to keep pace. Some groups disappeared. Others were absorbed through interbreeding. Over thousands of years, the separate branches of humanity shrank, one by one, until only a single branch remained, ours, resolution. But here's the strangest part of the story. The other human species may not be entirely gone. Tiny pieces of them still live inside us, in our DNA, in our immune systems, possibly even in traits that helped our ancestors survive unfamiliar environments. The extinction of the other human species wasn't a single dramatic event. It was a slow merging, shrinking, and disappearing of entire worlds. Different ways of being human. different evolutionary experiments, lost forever. And when we look around today, it's easy to assume that humanity's dominance was inevitable, that Homo sapiens were destined to inherit the earth. But history suggests otherwise. For most of our existence, we were just one branch among many, a branch that could easily have disappeared if a few migrations had failed, if climates had shifted differently, if another species had adapted just a little better. The world might belong to Neanderthals today, or Denisovans, or a human species we've never even discovered. Instead, we are the last survivors of a once crowded family tree, the final human species standing, at least for now.